Hundreds of years ago, if you had a request or a need or wanted to settle a dispute, you would go see the king or the queen, if you could get an appointment. Upon entry into the palace, you'd be surrounded by majesty and splendor. The monarch would sit on a throne in an elevated position, signifying their power and their rank. You'd approach in humility, hat in hand, bowing and curtsying while presenting your petition. Chances are the king wouldn't know you or particularly care about you one way or the other. Your little petition might even be a bore and a nuisance. Why must I deal with these little people? Many a king surely said. And as you spoke to your king, you'd be expected to be quick about it. State your case and move on. There's a line behind you. Most likely, your matter would be delegated to a court official. The king just doesn't have time for you. And while you'd be counting on your monarch to act judiciously and wisely, filled with prudence and fairness, there's no guarantee of that. For even good and benevolent kings have headaches, foul moods, and have bad days. They don't always have the facts before them, and they might judge unfairly, even harshly. And even if they get it right 98% of the time, they'll still make mistakes. And that's the good kings. A bad king might be arbitrary and capricious in their rulings, ruling on a whim or for their own amusement. It's not about you, after all. It's about them. But in today's passage from Isaiah, we see a different kind of sovereign. This is a king who personifies both love and wisdom. He has no foul moods, is not arbitrary and capricious, and has no constraints on his time and energy. He loves his subjects in ways we can scarcely imagine, turning none of them away, concerning himself with even their smallest trivialities. Indeed, he knows every hair on your head. Furthermore, he invites his subjects into the palace to be co-heirs of the kingdom. That's quite a king. Isaiah also shows us this love in action, for God forgives Isaiah his sins and opens his eyes so he can see and fills his heart with a joyful purpose. Isaiah's heart responds to God with gusto. "Here I am," said Isaiah, "send me." This is always the only logical response to God's love. But Isaiah also gives us an additional clue about God's nature. And this one is fascinating, and it's about the Trinity. At the end of the reading, God asks Isaiah, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" Did you catch that? In the first question, God uses I, the singular. In the second question, who will go for us? He says us, which is plural. One God, three persons, Father, Son, Holy Spirit. And in the earlier passage, the seraphim cries out, "Holy, holy, holy." Three praises for the triune God. Quite a king indeed. So let today's readings remind us what the psalm proclaimed. The Lord is king. He is robed in majesty. His decrees are worthy of our trust. So go to him in his heavenly court and encounter his infinite love and wisdom. He cares so much about you. Listen to him. But don't be surprised if he also asks you, like he did Isaiah, "Whom shall I send? Who will go for us?" And like Isaiah, your heart will be filled with so much love and joy that your response will also be, "Here I am, Lord. Send me."